Want to check those out because they'll have the first indication of what USDA really thinks this year is going to look like for corn and soybeans, or the new crop. Again, you can find those at about 11 o'clock at WILLAG.org. I'm Todd Gleason.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Dina Stroish connects rural routes for you. From the Farm Bill to crop insurance to GMO labeling, her expertise is apparent in the stories she reports. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I get to meet interesting people and share their stories, and I get paid to do it. I cover ag policy and really enjoy keeping the farming community updated on these important issues.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Spring is here and things are buzzing. Farmers and pollinators are working together to help feed us. In fact, 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat exists because of bees, butterflies, birds, bats, and other insects. Pollinators are important to our food system and the ecosystem overall. That's why farmers and those in the agricultural industry are working together to protect pollinators through education, research, and conservation efforts. Visit ILAGformonarchs.org to join the buzz. That's ILAGformonarchs.org.
You're listening to RFD Town & Country Partners, connecting you with the food you eat, the Illinois farmers who grow it, and the food-related events, destinations, and lifestyles that make our state great.
Good day to you. Welcome to RFD Town & Country Partners on a Thursday. I think we're all ready for a good dose of sunshine. Maybe we'll get that tomorrow. While we wait, we're going to talk to one of our favorite guests here on the program, Mark Depew, Director of Oral History at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. Hi, Mark.
How are you, Rita?
Hey, really good. And you're going to set us up very nicely as we get towards the end of the month and think about Memorial Day. There's lots to think about, and the museum has some special openings.
Yeah, it certainly does. This year, I'm excited to talk about the next temporary exhibit we're going to have, which sounds like a small thing, but it's a big thing. We've got a big temporary exhibit space, and this year it's going to be about World War II. And the actual title is in this great struggle, the greatest generation remembers World War II. And one of the reasons I'm really excited about it is this is really the first exhibit that we've had here that I get a chance to share a lot of the stories that I have collected over the years. And I've heard some great ones with our World War II generation. So that's part of the exhibit. There's lots of poster art. There's lots of artifacts that are going to be along with this as well. And the whole thing opens up on June 6th. And for your history buffs out there, they will probably remember that's the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
How long will it be open?
It starts June 6th, and it closes on January 12th. 2020.
So some good time frames there for folks to get to enjoy that. Now, to go back to those conversations that you've had, you're going to be sharing with us, I'm assuming, some of your favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. And I figured I'd kind of walk through the war, a very quick run through World War II and only the biggest conflict in world history. But I'm starting with Pearl Harbor, and this is Charles Sahe, who is originally from Illinois, but he was on the USS Nevada in Pearl Harbor itself the day of the attack. And that's the only ship, the USS Nevada is the only one that actually got under steam before it took a couple more bomb hits, and then they had to scuttle it.
I had breakfast. At 7:30, I went to the head. After head, washed up. Then the 4 or 5 of us in the head sitting around, and all of a sudden the jar and boom. I said, "Oh, that they're practicing firing in the harbor. They're shooting." We thought. So then I ran to my battle station, and oh my God, it's going unbelievable. I have never fully understood the feeling, the shock. What the hell is happening? Who are they?
Wow.
Yeah, here's another twist. His battle station, of all places to watch this, he was up on the mast where the searchlight was. He was up in the air watching this whole battle transpire.
Mm. How old was he when you guys talked?
That was, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. He is now 96 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
With the next clip, I think we're probably going to need to move on here pretty quickly. The next one is with a woman by the name of Betty Wrigley, who was a riveter of sorts. She worked in the Bremerton shipyards in Washington State. Actually wasn't dealing with the rivets themselves. She would catch the red-hot rivets and then pass it on to somebody else. But the other interesting thing about her, she was underage. She kind of had to fudge on her age a couple years to be able to get this job.
I caught hot rivets. I didn't actually use a rivet gun, ever. But I worked with a riveter, and number one, those rivet guns were like a jackhammer. And I would have a funnel, maybe this big around, and kind of a graduated tube. And I'd have long gloves up to here. And, of course, I often wore goggles, too, at that point, because carbon would fly off of the big rivets. Anyway, somebody would be down there about on the next deck, and they'd have this big machine that it must have been electric, because they would heat these up until they were red hot, and the carbon would be flying off, and they'd take it and sling it up there, and I'd have to catch it. And I never missed one. But anyway, I would take a tongs then and put it in the bulkhead, in the hole. And my rivet guy that I was working with would rivet the rivet into the hole, but there'd be somebody on the back side that I wouldn't see. That was the bucker. He would hold against it to flatten it out on the back side. You know what they were doing at that time was reinforcing the deck steel, putting another layer of steel. That's why the California was in dry dock for so long. They were putting more steel layers on the deck and more steel layers on the bulkheads. And that's why I can't hear. Mm.
What a brave and intelligent woman.
Yeah, and she's a delight to talk to. Still very lively today.
Huh.
I should mention that for each one of these videos or audios that we're listening to, we put together a 3 to 5 minute video, incorporated some narrative beginning at it and ending of it, found some images and some video that goes along with it. I think that the public's going to find them very powerful when they watch these. The next person I wanted to talk about, you got to have something on D-Day, and we chose an interview with a paratrooper from the 82nd Airborne by name of Rock Merritt. You know, talk about a great name for a paratrooper, Rock Merritt. And he jumped on the evening before D-Day, and just as the paratroopers expected, there was a very high rate of casualties.
The first day, the first 508 jumped in Normandy, they lost the entire chain of command, not captured, not wounded, all of them killed. Colonel Batchelor, the battalion commander, Captain Ruddy, the company commander, Lieutenant Sneed, platoon leader, First Sergeant Snuffy Smith, the first sergeant, and Alvin C. Carter, my sergeant. All of them killed the first day. No replacements coming in. Everybody had to move up one. So I went in as a corporal on D-Day. Before the sun set on D-Day, I'm a buck sergeant because my sergeant got killed. And I go from 1 machine gun squad to 4 machine gun squads. And they said, well, yeah, we were trained for that. They knew, they predicted, 70% casualties into Normandy. I guess my regiment probably had that many. Anyway, but so we were trained to got not only 1, but to jump 2 grades if you had to. So anyway, I went from 1 machine gun to 4 machine guns and 4 squads. From a squad leader to what you call a section leader, what have you. The regiment, the battalion executive officer major, he went up to colonel. the company exec, first lieutenant, he took over the company. All of us went up here one day. That was just the first day.
I'm always so surprised, Mark. Their memory is so clear.
Yeah, and some of that is a reflection of they've had 70-some years to reflect on these things. Oftentimes, these are the stories that they tell over and over again, but just as frequently, they're the stories that they've kind of held within themselves and didn't want to talk about because we're dragging up some of the things that are most the painful moments of their lives.
Mm. Right. So we have 2 more cuts. I'm assuming that we'll wait until our final segment of the program to hear those.
Right. I don't know if we got a little bit more time to talk about the exhibit. I would certainly love to do that.
Yeah, let's do that. We do. We have about a minute and 15 seconds left. So that sounds like a great opportunity. You said opening June 6th.
And it really, I think it flows well. We start off with the home front, and you get to learn a little about what's going on in the home front. Then we have a section we're calling the Arsenal Democracy, which really drives home this incredible productivity that the United States experienced during that time frame. And just some of it is just throwing numbers out to impress people. Oh my gosh, we built that many aircraft, we built that many ships. The third part is called the GI experience. And then the fourth, we wanted to finish off with a little bit different twist than a lot of World War II exhibits. This is the legacy of the World War II generation. So it's kind of a peek into what was going on in the 1950s. But, my generation at least, we grew up with these World War II vets. I'm part of that legacy, the baby boom generation.
Mm. And what a way to start your children off on a summer school vacation than learning a little bit about history that you can't get in the books.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to really bring the war home to people. And we're hoping that when they leave, they say, I think I want to read more about that.
Mm. Well, we look forward to more conversations as we talk today with Mark Depew, Director of Oral History, Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. Stay with us. This is Town and Country Partners.
Are you preparing for planting season? We don't mean to be a pest, but here's a few things you need to know before you grow. The Illinois Department of Agriculture now requires special local needs labels, including new restrictions for the use of herbicide dicamba on top of soybeans in Illinois for the 2019 growing season. Did you know these additional restrictions go beyond federally approved labels? Remember, the label is the law. To find out more about these Illinois-specific labels, visit ilfb.org/label-aware.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Welcome to Jim Crowley Outdoors here on RFD Radio Network. You don't have to be a farmer to be a member of the Illinois Farm Bureau. Just a love for the outdoors will do. For more information, check out ilfb.org or your local county farm bureau. I still feel the best thing for panfishing is that panfish are actually my favorite fish, probably favorite freshwater fish to eat. And whether it's bluegills or crappies, I really, really like perch. Any of those are absolutely fantastic when you deep fry them, whether it be a deep fryer, whether it be an air fryer. But I'm going to give you a little recipe. We may have talked about this a while ago when it comes to some of the fish I fish in saltwater for. But for those of you guys who fish a lot of bluegills, and the guys are catching crappies now, and eventually are going to really get into some really good bluegills. And one, I actually use a shore lunch type of breaded, cornmeal, just like a lot of other guys do. And that always works really, really good. But let me give you a couple little different ways to spice things up in that breading that you're actually going to like. Now, I use buttermilk sometimes after I dip the fish in the batter or whatever, put it in buttermilk and then put it in that seasoning. But here's another thing you can do. Now, whether you're a Cheetos fan from way back like I am, or even a spicy Doritos fan, And you can also do this with Funyuns, believe it or not, if you want an onion flavor to your fish. And by the way, on bluegills, that's fantastic. But here's what you do. You can take a bag or two, one of the medium-sized bags, whatever, and just put it in a food processor and grind up either the Funyuns or the Cheetos or the spicy Doritos, whatever you want, to a really, really fine powder. And then what you're going to do is you're going to mix it into the cornmeal or the breading before you dip the fish in and get it all in there. And usually with cheese, it's pretty easy to tell. A lot of the mixture starts turning really brown. And after you put that in there, that's when I dip my fish in the buttermilk and then mix it in with the breading and with the Cheetos, things like that. When you do that, it gives an extra little kick, an extra little flavor, especially when if you'd like to do an air fry or something like that. You can really taste it in there. And surprisingly, it's really, really good. Now, some of you who, I know my stepdaughter really likes those Funyuns. My goodness, she likes those Funyuns. Anyway, so we took some bluegills, and we did exactly what we're talking about, and because she's not a real big fish eater. Well, after mixing those Funyuns in there, and we actually deep fried those and put it on, she absolutely loved. Try that. Add that simple thing. If you got kids around the house, they can have fun with it and help you do it. How cool is that? Be able to go out and catch the fish with your kids, and then they can help you prepare them for dinner.
Thanks so much, Jim. That's a great idea. I'm going to try that for sure. Stick around. More to come.
Hi, this is Sabrina Hardy, RFD Business Manager. I want to thank you for listening to the RFD Radio Network, the #1 ag radio network in Illinois. Did you know RFD Radio Network's programming is being broadcast by Rita Frazier and Delosh Yankee with a combined 50 years of broadcasting experience? Join us daily. If you have any questions, email me at chardy@ilfb.org.
What's the excitement about buying a brand new car when you pay full price for it? County Farm Bureau members have a reason to be excited. A Farm Bureau membership gives you 2 car purchase discounts. When members buy a new Ford vehicle, they receive $500 off their purchase. And with the purchase of a qualifying Lincoln vehicle, they receive $750 off. Everyone loves a good deal, and the money saved is worth the price of our annual membership. This is just one of our 300,000 plus discounts that are always changing to fit our members' needs. Not a Farm Bureau member? Visit Illinois Farm Bureau online and join today.
We're back here on Town & Country Partners on a Thursday talking with Mark Depew, Director of Oral History, Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. Mark, you're sharing with us some treasures here, some recollection of World War II, some amazing people.
Yeah, and obviously, as I've mentioned before, these are all people featured in our new exhibit that we've got that opens up on June 6th, the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I should also mention that on May 30th, I'll be giving a presentation on D-Day. That's in the museum, starts at 6:30. It is a free event, but people would have to sign up for that. But getting back to our clips, the next one is with one of our favorite veterans that we've ever interviewed here. He is a fantastic storyteller, Vincent Speranza. Vince. He was a paratrooper at the Battle of the Bulge. That's the first action he saw, so he didn't make the jump into D-Day. But this is a short clip about Vince after delivering messages to town, because he was a runner, went back and forth between the front lines of town. He runs into some Germans.
Well, one time, I guess it was 4 or 5 days into the battle when we were already surrounded and cut off. He sent me back at night, late evening, but it was already dark, and so on. And the moon was out. And it must have been a full moon because it was bright as day, the snow and the moon and so on, very bright. And I had picked up a bunch of maps that Captain Hilton wanted me to bring back. My rifle is slung over my shoulder as I'm carrying the maps, and I'm walking the road. And out of the corner of my eye, I see like 4 or 5 white shapes just sink down into the snow. And, of course, my heart jumped. We had been warned about that the Germans were infiltrating our line. And my heart jumped, as I said, and there was an abandoned Jeep turned over in a ditch right alongside the road there. So I just kept walking as though nothing happened. And I walked behind that Jeep and unslung my rifle. You know, it's hard to see at night, but this was almost as bright as daylight. It's hard to see that peep sight. But I was one of the guys who had come across a man who had one of those jeweler's files, and a lot of us made the hole in the peep sight of our rifle bigger, so that even in poor light conditions, you could see a lot better. In my opinion, it saved my life that night, because when I got behind that Jeep and unslung the rifle, and they hadn't moved, I guess they figured that they hadn't been seen, but then I just started popping them off. And I got 4. One of them got away, ran up and ran in the woods, and I just picked up my maps, then dropped them again, grabbed my rifle, and took off down the road.
You're right. Great storyteller.
Yeah. His most famous story, he's known throughout Belgium for this story, is the time he delivered beer to his buddy who was in this makeshift hospital in downtown Bastogne. But there's a teaser. The public's going to have to come to the museum to hear that story.
There you go. And I kind of listened to your last bite earlier today when I was dubbing these. What a treat to hear from a lady involved with VJ Day.
Yeah, I've actually got 2 clips. The last video we've got is on VJ Day, and it's about the crazy celebrations that day. And both of these women were downtown big cities and got kissed that day. Maybelle Blair, she's a delight. And the other interesting thing, you won't find her interview on our Veterans Remember webpage because she's part of our sports page. She actually played in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. But here's this young teenager in downtown Los Angeles the day that we heard about the news that we'd beaten the Japanese and they surrendered.
You remember the celebration at the end of World War II?
Oh, my gosh, yes, I do. I was, a teenager, and I can remember, it was wonderful. You have never seen anything like it. Somehow I wound up downtown Los Angeles. I can't remember why. And everybody was screaming and hollering and celebration that you wouldn't believe. Guns shooting in the air, noises, screaming, hollering, crying with joy. It was everything.
Maybelle, did you get kissed that day?
You better believe I did. And I was so happy the sailors is around, and they're just kissing me all over the place. I was just like, woo! I like that, Mark. You're so right.
Oh, my gosh.
How can you not smile listening to that clip, huh?
That is right. How long ago did you tape that?
That was, 2 years ago now? She was up in Rockford for an event for girls who were playing baseball. Now, that was a big thing. It wasn't softball these girls were playing. They were playing baseball like it was supposed to be played.
Yeah. Now, I'm thinking about the movie with Tom Hanks. What's the movie's name?
League of Their Own.
Yes. So there's no crying in baseball, all that. She sounds like a pretty tough lady.
Yeah, in fact, I interviewed 2 of those ladies that day, and those are both really fun interviews to watch. And in the background, they're sitting in front of a placard from that movie, so you get a feel for that.
Wow.
But it's just a great story, I thought.
So 30 seconds left here. A reminder, June 6th is the day that we'll look for the opening.
June 6th, obviously you have to pay to come into the museum, but it's only, I think, the best presidential museum in the country, and then you've got the added effect of actually seeing this fantastic exhibit we'll have on World War II.
Mark, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to talking to you next month. Mark Depew, Director of Oral History, Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. Thanks for being a part of our afternoon program.
Thank you for joining us for RFD Town & Country Partners. Get out and enjoy Illinois.